Queen Bee expert Stacey Battat. Stacey has been an educator and public speaker for almost 20 years. She recently earned a graduate degree specializing in sexuality with additional training in sex therapy and life coaching. She helps women ignite their playful spirit, love imperfect imperfections of their bodies, and embrace their sexual desires.
But when I think about my sensations and my visceral feelings as my first childhood memory, it was actually in the blackout of 1965. New York had a great blackout. And I remember I was 3 years old. I remember walking around with this candle in Riverdale in our apartment building and just feeling this excitement of meeting people and the flickering candle and the silence and just this darkness. And thinking of sensations as being a sensation scientist. And we lose that as we get older. We just lose it. So getting back to our sensations is part of what makes us a sensual human being. So my first tip is really to journey to your origins and become a sensation scientist again. The second tip is to play again. So the idea, I've actually been an educator for over 20 years, and I've worked with all ages, from seniors to teenagers. I work with a lot of women, and I still do some work with young kids, with preschoolers. And I love children and how playful they are. And if you think again about playfulness, it's not just about putting the fun between your legs, so I have fun with that. But the playfulness of being a child is about being present to like playing. The way children play is so beautiful when you watch them, and when we forget about that. So when some of us are moms, and I'm a mom of 3 children, grown up by now, we played with them on the playground, we played with them in the sand and in the snow, and then when they get older, we forget to play with it. We forget to play, period. Not just sexually, but play, period. So I try to help women kind of reignite that playful spirit, getting into your own unique sexiness and dancing with that and finding your own practice. So I'm going to talk for a little bit about contemplative practice, because I meditated for quite a while because I can be a little ADD and all over the place. So I decided I had to do some mindfulness training. And this was about 7 years ago, and I got into meditating. And, you know, we all have very noisy brains. It's just what we do. We have monkey minds. It's hard to quiet it. Some people give up on meditation. But contemplative practice can be something that what I want to suggest that you can play with. And then you can develop your own unique way of moving, or of doing if you love yoga, you can do that. You can do walking. Meditation and contemplative practice can be something that we get into our bodies. So we decide to feel our bodies again and become more embodied internally, noticing those sensations, letting that energy shift, and just being aligned with what's possible. And mindfulness is very much about compassion, not about judgment, rather really about this idea of kind of being fully in your body and just allowing it to say, if I get distracted, no big deal. No big deal. So if you're meditating, that smile, that bringing that lighthearted energy into you and saying, you know what, maybe today I just need to take a long walk and be with myself. It's hard to carve out the time, but that's exactly what I'm trying to advocate for, is that we don't do that. And women in particular, which is the fourth tip. The third is moving and contemplative practice. The fourth is self-care. Most women are serving others. And so by the time we reach midlife, I really propose to you that you look at ways not to be serving others, but really carving out the time just to really have that self-care time. And sometimes you'll hear about fitness. And so that's one way of self-care, but I still welcome you to open it up to more sensual and sensational exploration, because that's what makes it fun. And when we lose our sense of fun and we're all about the achievement, we're not really in our bodies of enjoying them. Amy Nelson, she's an author and major author in the sex therapy field. And she talks about self-care, and she talks about womanhood and how as females, we have these amazing sexual energy and chakra power. Our lower chakras are filled with, first of all, our sexual organs have 8,000 nerve endings. So that's like no one has that. So you should celebrate it. That's first of all. And the second thing is that we have, within that power of our lower chakras, we can bring so much good energy into that. That is where, as women, we birth from, we create life from, and that becomes creative. If we go back to that as we get older, we realize that could be our creative spirit, and it can empower a lot of our lives. It's about flirting. Now, this I love because, you know, this is contrary to what most people think. We've created a narrative about flirting. And if you actually think about babies, they flirt. They're coy. They're like engaging you in the sweetest way that has no attachment. So the idea that we don't play and we don't flirt enough with ourselves without an agenda, we forget about that. So ways that you could flirt, women, is you can go commando and feel fun and sexy. No one else has to know it. You could buy new lingerie and feel fun and sexy, and no one has to know about it. You are flirting with yourself. That's one of the primary things I want to teach you. So the flirting is the fifth one. The sixth one is to practice being kind of more in your body. Now, practice, this is an interesting thing because the top 10 TED Talk speakers, her name's Ann Cuddy. She does the body language. Many of you know it. It's the Wonder Woman pose, right? So she talked about doing research on is practicing and pretending to be empowered going to help you feel empowered. And she totally claims that you can fake it till you become it. And one of my other mentors in the sexual consciousness field, Barbara Carellis, talks about faking it till you feel it. Now, I'm not talking about faking an orgasm. I'm really talking about we don't give our bodies enough attention. So that idea of practicing being in your body and your breath, which we don't spend time on, is huge. So just allowing you to feel like, what is possible in my body?